Hang on. I need to change the stream name. A-L-T. There we go. Hopefully that carries. All right, gotta pause the mic here for a second. Happy Sunday, Shaggy SoCal towards Forza. Time for the next round of track guides. This coming week in this Ford Falcon, we're going to be Catalunya National Alt and then Road Atlanta. So we'll start at Catalunya Alt. I think it's probably going to be the easier of the two track guides for me to do because we've raced here a few times. But let me just go ahead and run a couple of laps here in test drive. I'm on the medium tire, about 50% fuel, no track rubbering, but I do have the 5x tire wear on, so I'm going to run a couple of laps just to get into rhythm a little bit. Then I'll probably do the one lap track walk where I kind of talk about what the car wants to do, maybe what to watch out for, and then because I need to practice, I'm going to run kind of a mock race against the AI just to make sure I practice good racecraft. So we'll leave it at that. But anyhow, let me go ahead and get started on the outlaps. Such a pretty race car. We all live in a yellow submarine. Okay. So again, for the starting with traction control, just don't have the car banging off the rev limiter like that. Because then traction control might bog the car down more than it really needs to. Second gear, let me do second gear here. Okay. The tires are still a little bit cold. That was late. All right, let's run a flying lap here at speed. So I think for me, braking for turn 1 here is going to be just before the 150 board on the left side, right about there. Release the brakes at the pit out blend line to get it through. Got to be careful of the transition because it kind of a little bit of a hump there that can get traction control to bog you down a little bit more than probably you expect. Off the hill, a little bit of a check brake. Same thing here. Again, Catalunya is notorious for having these cresting off-camber exits that, depending if you're running traction control or if you're not, will upset the back of the car a little bit. We've actually, for once, we've got a car it's a little bit loose, not as understeery as let's say the Porsche was. And I say that as the one who tuned that Porsche. So let's do one more. Now, I talked about in the previous track guides, if you're running traction control because the back of this car is a little bit squirrely, ideally you want traction control kicking in when you're trying to go forward. You really want to minimize how much it kicks in if the car's like that. If I can induce it. You don't really want it acting like as a pseudo stability control because it just will it'll kill your exit speed. And so usually my philosophy with the traction control, especially on sport, when it's in sport, is I still try to drive as if I don't have traction control. So that way, when it does kick in, 9 times out of 10, it should be kicking in when the car is mostly going straight. And so I don't have to, so I'm not worrying about, it bogging down because it's trying to keep the back end from sliding out. Where so 20% after 3 laps. About 9, maybe 10 laps there. All right. So let's do the slow track walk. Now coming down here, the 150 board for me is late. Pardon me while I get something to drink here real quick. So what I'm looking for, I'm trying to spot the 150 board, but I think for me, I'm going to be braking just like maybe a car length before, maybe half a car length before it. Because again, I'm trying to brake without locking the tires and sliding. But it is a pretty big braking zone, so brake. I'm typically going to be on the brakes pretty much all the way down to when I talk about the blend line, where the pit dividing line ends. That's where I'm going to be releasing the brakes and turning in for the corner. Again, to balance the car, second gear. Again, with traction controller, if you're not running traction control, the transition and this hairpin back onto the backside of the circuit here, because it is this kind of this cresting right-hander. The back end, as you crest over, it's going to get light. So if you're not running traction control, the back tires will probably want to spin up and shove the back end to the left. So you got to be careful of that. And again, once the back tires go and the car starts to slide, you get a little bit of warning and then it's snap. If you are running traction control, what'll happen is if you bury the throttle, it's just you're going to bog the RPMs down until the car senses that the car's stable and you can move forward. Then it'll start to pick the RPM up. So I think I'm still going to be kind of gentle with the throttle until I get the car over this hump, until I get it over the hump and onto the backside of the circuit. I think in past track guides, I always talk about we're really trying to do a late apex to get the car onto the right side, or not the right side. Yeah, the right side. Hey, I know my left from right. To keep the car on the right side to set up for the next corner. I'm still going to try and do that. I think more often than not, I'm going to probably bring the car up to mid track and then bring it back across. While the entry or the setup, the entry to turn 1 is probably the best place to set up passes, making one of the most important turns to pass into. It is arguably the least important turn as far as exit, because you don't really have a huge straightaway here. You're not going to set up a pass. It's really just get the car as neatly at it here as you can to set it for the next set of corners. So that being said, mid-track, bring the car back to the left. I don't have a definitive braking point for this at all. I'm kind of doing it by feel. It might be about where the inside curving starts, but I do want to get the car to the right side. I'm going to try and stay off the curving, since I'm going to, again, anything, once you hit the brakes, it can unsettle the back of the car as well. So I'm going to try and be neat and tidy, but it is a little bit of a break to turn the car in. I'm going to try and get the car over to where I am on the curbing as I'm going past the breadloaf curbs. I'm going to stay off the breadloaf curbs. So curbing here, line it up. I'm going to just point the car straight at the apex in the next corner. Probably use a little bit of curbing here. Accelerate, accelerate, accelerate. Now here's the other thing. Here's one thing with I'm gonna yell at Forza. This is the one thing I don't like about test drive when I do these, is one, the timing lines aside, a lot of this track signage that'll be in the race isn't in test drive, and it's because not having the braking line, there's things I'm trying to look for as far as braking points. So the reason I pointed up here is there's usually signage on the inside grass here that I can use. I'm still going to try and use at least for test drive, I was using the red Circuit Catalunya sign on here on the right side. But there's going to be a sign here that I'll point out that it is, for me, it's a little bit of just a quick check brake to get some weight on the nose of the car, and then turning in as I get to the end of the curbing. I'll probably, early in the race, probably turn in a little too early for this corner, more often than not, until I get into rhythm. But the idea is I'd like to try and turn in late enough where, and I think when I've done the past, should have watched my Catalunya track guide again from the Porsche. But for me, the apex is past I'm trying to do a late apex here. So past the yellow curbing on the inside, and you can kind of see the discoloration on the pavement where, you know, previous cars have laid rubber over it. So I'm probably trying to clip the curbing here a bit late, because again, this is, you know, the next kind of cresting the hill. Don't be surprised as you crest this hill and it straightens out. Again, if you don't have traction control on, you might feel the rear tire spin up in the back, start to step out. If you are running traction control, you might feel the back step out a bit, and then all of a sudden the TCS kicks in, and just, it doesn't really bog the car down. It's just you're not going to slow down. You're just not going to continue to accelerate until you get fully out of the corner, and the weight has kind of finished in the back of the car. The weight is settled, and the car is going straight. Then you'll start to hear the acceleration kick back up. Second gear, third gear. For me, for this next hairpin, I'm braking based off the corner worker shack here on the left side. So it's not quite at the 100 board. It's not quite at the 150. I'd say it's about 2/3 of the way down, or maybe actually spatially, it's about halfway between the 150 and the 100 board is where I'm looking to brake. But I'm going off of the corner worker station there. So brake. Down to second gear, release the brakes, turn in. Gonna try and get on the curbing here late, start to roll back into the throttle. Now for this, because it's such a long, again, it's an increasing radius turn, so it's gonna be sharp on the entry, but then it starts to open up. So you can play around with being a little more aggressive with the throttle, but what I would say is do that in conjunction with unwinding the wheel. This is another one of those turns where traction control can hurt you if it's trying to keep the back end from stepping out. You really just want traction control keeping the wheels from spinning up when you're trying to go straight. The second it's trying to control your back end slide, it's going to slow you down a little bit. If someone gets a little bit better of a, you know, can carry a little more speed or isn't as aggressive, and they can carry a little bit more exit speed out, you know, they might be able to finagle something, maybe try to set up a pass. But I'd say as you're rolling back into the throttle, if you're feeling TCS kick in, you're feeling the RPMs dropping a little bit, just think about maybe unwinding the wheel a bit more, or just, you know, not being as aggressive back on the throttle as you get out of this corner. Keep the car on the left side. Second gear, you'll probably be, and this is your choice, I'll probably let it bang in second gear off the rev limiter, because by the time it's hitting that rev limiter, it's about time to, you know, give a quick brake and turn in for the next corner. If you want to put it in third, you can. I think ultimately this is a second gear corner for me, and kind of like Indy, I'll probably start this corner a little bit wider to start until I get kind of comfortable, and I might cheat in a little bit as far as maybe being mid-track going into this corner. We'll see how my line evolves over the mock race. But for me, second gear, I'm looking for the yellow curbing that just came into view there as kind of where I'm aiming to apex. So if I can get the car kind of alongside at the curbing as I get past there, to me, that's generally where the apex is. I think the AI tends to take a later one, you know, kind of tries to apex at the crest of the hill, and that actually might be the smarter move, because it keeps, you know, because the car's generally straighter, there's not as much weight on the left side at that point. That's what I said, it's probably one of my weaker turns as far as consistency as what's the right line. So, but just know that as you exit this corner, you are kind of cresting over the top of the hill, so the back end's going to get a little bit light. Again, depending on how much weight transfer you have. Don't be surprised if the car steps out a little bit, or TCS kicks in to keep the car from stepping out. Second gear, down here, you'll pop it to third right at the end of the curbing, and right at the end of curbing is right is also at the point where you're probably going to do a little bit of a, at least for me, I do a little bit of a check brake to then help get the car turned in for the next corner. We're not doing the chicane of calamity here at the end of Catalunya. So it is after you get off that curbing, a little check brake, turn the car in. Track limits are a bit generous, so you can straddle this curb here without violating track limits. I will probably do that a few times during the race. Bring the car back out, still third gear, maybe up to fourth, heading on the final turn. For me, I'm braking. I'm braking for the final turn somewhere about halfway along this curbing. I don't have any specific thing I look for because I'm trying to look into the final corner, but it is somewhere about halfway, like along this left side curbing. I might be on it a little bit. Certainly, I don't want to be straddled over the yellow curbing because that is enough of a hump to try and transition back over that the car probably won't like it. But fourth gear, third gear, your choice. So if you're in fourth, you want to drop to third. Again, the difference is that third's going to put that rev range up, puts a little more weight in the front of the car, and it just gives you a little bit easier of a turn in. I don't think fourth gear is as so low in the rev range that that the car's not going to accelerate out because this is a pretty torquey motor. But again, because you're not getting a little extra benefit of the engine braking, putting weight in the front of the car's a little bit more relaxed going in. So if you're really good at your braking and getting the speed down, try it in fourth. If you like just having a little bit more of a having the car on its toes, put it in third. Traffic may even dictate that as well. So, but what I will try and do is I get the car down in. I'm looking to try and hit the apex late, roll the car out, third gear. This exit curbing is not horrible. You can use as much of that as you want. Out fourth gear, fifth gear, down the front straightaway. That's a lap of Catalunya. We were last year at this layout in the Supra, and then we just ran Catalunya in the Porsche last season. So I think this track should, for the most part, be pretty familiar, as far as recent top of mind memory. The trick is that we're now in a car where the back end's a little bit more squirrely than the Porsche was. There were turns that you might have understeered a little bit on exit, where it crests over. This car is going to want to oversteer. So just be mindful of that. Should be a good race. Again, this car has decent draft on it. So I think most of the passes will probably be setting up onto the front straightaway and passing into turn one. So with that, I'm gonna at least pause the stream here for a second, set up for kind of the mock race with what I think the race length will be. Usually I'm a lap or two high because I don't factor in the bucket delays, and then we'll see how good my racecraft is. Which, well, yeah, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Anyhow, let me pause this for a second, and I'll be right back, and we'll get going. Let's go exit, quit the race. Okay. Let's go ahead and pause. And again, I do this mainly so that I don't have to worry about bitrate static or like that. So be right back. And we're back. Let me reset the mic. Forward. Okay, nope. We are going to do circuit race. National alt. Number of laps. I did calculations earlier. 27. We'll go random time of day. Rolling 4. Weather, we'll go random weather, but I'm not going to do the track guide in rain. Dynamic rubber. This is something I checked on Thursday. I've been always starting at 50. Matt actually starts it at 20. So I'm going to do that because again, for these kind of sims, especially when I'm trying to get a read on tire wear, the closer I can get to race conditions, the better. All the drive tires, number of drive tires, cars. Yep, we're all going to be in the Ford. Sport rules. Tire wear 5. We are going to go standing, random, and we are going to maintain 1 quick stop. And I think that's all good there. Let's go ahead and accept those. Now, my initial read on the tires, and I ran in test drive. Oh, wait. Before I get into the strategy, tell us about Catalunya.
In Catalunya's many fast off-camber turns, gravity will work against your traction, so be sure your car is pointed where you want it to exit before you get back on the throttle. Otherwise,
Either the back end's going to step out on you unexpectedly, or traction control is going to drop like a sledgehammer. So that's actually good advice. She was actually more eloquent than I was during the lap. Excuse me a second. I forgot to bring the water closer. So tire wear. Again, we're running 5x, 5 times on the tire wear. On the soft tires, I've guesstimated, at least I ran some running some test laps before the stream. I got they went 60% on lap 6. And so it is roughly a little over 10% a lap at this tire wear. And then again, whatever you get on the softs, you figure roughly double it for the hards. So 12, maybe 13 laps. And then the mediums are somewhere in between. So that might be like 9 or 10. So I think part of what I'm going to do is see if I can validate the mediums and the hards. But let's talk about tire strategy. If we're running close to 27 laps, in 2 tire compounds, you really, again, it's back to, the ideal strategy. If you really don't want to run past, 60% on your tires ever, then it is a 2-stop race, and it might just be, medium, soft. It would be, for a 27. Even that one, you're probably going to run a little past it. We'll see what the lap count is on Thursday. I'm guesstimating. I went 27. It might be 26. So medium, soft might work. You could do hard. You could even do one of each. And I think for what I'm going to do today, I might do. Well, let me see. 27 laps, 13. Well, 2 hards, two stints on the hards would get me 26, but I have to run a different compound. So I probably will just run a hard, medium, soft. And that way I get a better read on the hard and medium tires to see if they do what I think they do, and then I can run softs at the end. But all right, I've done enough talking. Let me just go ahead and let's get into the race. So let's go car, fuel, and tire. Now again, I don't like messing with fuel. I know some of you guys do, and I know that does make difference on lap times, because I'm running less. You're running less fuel. You'll get a 10th or 2 a lap, but my worst fear is screwing up what I have to put in on the pit stops. We're going to start on the hard 5x. We'll see how long those last. Let's go ahead and start race. Way at the back. I didn't see rain. It looked like looming clouds, so I'm almost at the back. Good. I don't have to wait quite as long. So I'm just going to pull over here to the right, let everybody by. Try not to spin out getting back on the track. So they're going to be really slow in turn 1 because the AI is very cautious around each other. And again, the opening lap, especially if you're in a large group or a group of cars, your opening lap tire wear may not be as much as you would if you were on your own, because you're having to check up a little bit more. It's not as you're not pushing as much because you're having to navigate around traffic. A little bit of slide there. Someone's pitting already. Okay, see how the car kind of bogged down getting out of the corner? I don't know if I'm close enough to stick a pass. I'm going to take a look. Ooh, big lunge. Wow. That was a nice pass by the drive-tars. Oops, somebody's there. Sorry. I was busy being impressed with the drive-tars pass there. And again, I'm in traffic a little bit, so I'm going to brake a little bit earlier than I discussed, just so that I'm not running into the back of people. Whoops. Yeah, that rev limit still comes up a little bit quicker than I expect. Thank you. Okay, so the signage isn't quite there. It is that red banner on the cement wall that I'm kind of gauging off of as I totally. Again, what have I talked about where I can't talk and drive at the same time? Collision avoidable compact contact. I was sideways. This is why I practice. Time to go and try hard mode. Almost did it again. So I'm actually released it a little past that blend line, but thank you. I think I can be a little bit later on the apex there. It's So maybe a little bit wider on the entry or a little bit later on the turning. Well, speaking of late, at that point, it's like, for that, especially the final corner, I've missed the apex. I'm not going to try and bring the car all the way back over. Just work with the momentum I've got and get the best exit as I can. A little bit late. I should have braked a little bit earlier. Let's not spin again. Looks like it's going to be about 12 laps until they hit 60. At the end of lap 12, we'll throw the mediums on. That gets me to, let's see, 12, 9, which gets me to 21. And then, yeah, I can put the softs on and not have to worry about that was a big lunge there. We know who was on soft to start the race. He likes taking that lunge there. Of course, I do leave the door open for him a little bit. And just starting to push just that little bit. Yep, we are going to fit this lap. So, all right, 12 laps on the hards then. It looks in and about for 60%. That's early. Behind me. Oh, that's way wide. Nope, not this time. Does make the TC kick in a little bit more to do that, though. All right. So 12 laps on, roughly 12 laps on the hards. Again, I'm running a heavier fuel load. Maybe you can get the 13th lap out of it. Just though, I think if you definitely go for the 13, it's going to be over 60%. So just be mindful of that. I'm not saying you have to pit at 60%, but just know it's about where the cliff is. So then 612. Medium, this should get me roughly to lap. Let's see, 12 plus 9 is 21. Picking up the 100 board there. Hold the inside as I get sideswiped. Now I'll get to 21 laps, and then I can go to the softs for the last 5, knowing that I'll have at least one full extra lap of life in them at the end. It's way wide. A little bit wider than I wanted to be. Turned in a little bit early there too, so. Oh, that's the leader behind me. I'm going to do everything I can to stay on the lead lap. The blue flag for you. I'm allowed to fight to stay on the lead lap, so screw you. Today, you shall not pass. forgot to do setting this up. I forgot to back the max PI down a little bit, try and rein in the leaders a little to make the racing, slightly more competitive for me. That's okay. Hopefully I'll remember to do that on the next one. Someone's having a bad time. That turn is going to be a problem. Sport TCS on, a lot of times what you'll see me do when it kicks in and I feel the back end is still kind of sliding just a little bit, you'll see me throw a quick counter steer in just to try and get, the weight centered back up so the car starts to accelerate. So there's a little bit of counter steering sometimes happening so I can get the car going forward. Definitely on the mediums, I can brake a little bit closer to that 150 board. And that's late. I'm getting there. Should never check tires before going into a corner. Should have. You'd think I would have learned that by now. Hope for like a little bit better of a part of these unlock races is I like being a little bit more traffic. Because the whole point is to figure out what I can do and what I can't. I'm trying to set up passes, but it doesn't help that I spun, but just makes for maybe not as interesting of a stream. Well, let's see what we can do. The other thing is I do need to get a read on tire life. And I'm doing 27 laps, but if this holds true, and let's say the race factoring in bucket delays is closer to 25, then a 21, a medium hard strategy on one stop is viable if you're comfortable, babying the tires a bit more and running them past 60% for a couple of laps. Maybe 2 extra laps on the 2 extra laps on each set. Emerald made it work at Indy, and I could see him being able to do the same here. Minor. Right on schedule. They're going to go 60. If they don't go 60 right at the end of the lap, it would be very early in the next lap. Ooh, yeah, that's way wide. Oh, I'm going into pits. Stop that. Right at the blend line there, should cross over. So yeah, so 9 laps on the mediums, and we know 6 on the soft. And yay, I get to go a lap down. All right, let's finish this out. There goes Fearless. At least maybe this kind of puts me in, or at least have some traffic to pass. Again, braking on the exiting pits, braking on the one board, down to first, cold tires. It may not be for position, at least hopefully, maybe I have some cars to race with. A bit of a double apex there from Royce. I know that I'm close enough for the draft. A little. If it exit, maybe I get a run. Nope. Won't be able to make a pass here, but let's see if I can at least close the... Trick is, I think they've got a little bit better handling than I do. So I'm not able to get... getting the punch out of the corner. I am getting benefit of the draft, but it's really not until late. So at best, it's just helping me stick with them. There we go, might get a good draft here. Side. Probably a little too late on the brakes. I passed the car on track. To catch the next car on track, but now that's interesting, Forza. Excuse me. Yeah, that's just stupid. I'm gonna go back and look through it. Look at the. Yeah, there's no radar on that. So Forza, what the hell? And I don't know if that's consistent with. I don't know if that's consistent on multiplayer, but yeah, I'm a lap down. Hey, I might race that on stream or with the rest of the guys because the radar never came up, and I'm a lap down car. Granted, I'm a lap down car, but it shouldn't matter whether I'm a lap down or not. If there's a car coming up behind me that close, that radar should be popping up, and it wasn't. So I'm not sure if that's doing that in our races or not, if we're coming up on lap traffic. So that's something to definitely ask about. But hey, learn something new. That's Catalunya. And 34:20, again, I'm not factoring in, like there's an 80, take another minute 20 on that one. So yeah, 27 laps might be on the ballpark. Again, my estimates are usually high by a lap or two. But that'll do it for the stream here at Catalunya. I'm going to take a break for a little bit. Probably be back on with the Road Atlanta later this afternoon. So hope you guys are having a great weekend and happy racing.